This morning I had a co-working session with my friend, a good friend of mine, and she said to me, she was like, you should do like a channeling, like a tarot channeling or a weekly message. And I was like, I don't feel, that doesn't feel very aligned. Um, I don't think I could do that with tarot, but maybe I can do that without tarot. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna be very sure if I'm mixing up my personal whatever's going on with a collective message. And so I kind of pondered on it, and the more I thought about it, the more I was like, oh, I really know how to actually create this into something that's very constructive and beneficial to a lot of people. And in my life, I talk to people from all walks of life, and a lot of the time I have moments where I can sit back from the conversation, and I've had so many conversations that I've just overall just collected a lot of patterns in how people show up and how they talk, and what they're just going through. And I was like, oh yeah, I could so do that. I could so talk around that. So today I wanted to do a collective message based on what I have seen and heard through the conversations with various people from around the world, different backgrounds and in different spaces. And I guess there are really like four things that come to mind, four things that I think are quite universal and are very prominent to me right now. And so the first thing is I just think a lot of people are thinking too small. And I think that's very cliche in terms of like, oh, think big, think big, think big. Don't shrink, don't play small. And for a long time, I didn't understand it. I was like, well, I'm trying, like, how big can I think? And I felt very stuck on it. But from recent conversations, people are really just keeping that that eye level just here, just here, just here, or even just like looking down and like just looking down at their feet and their hands and like this little bubble they have around them, and they might look up, but they don't want to look all around them, or they don't want to look above that eye level that they're looking at. And I feel when I hear my friends or when I hear the people I've come across talk about the things that they want to achieve and what they're stuck on and what they're passionate about and how they're going about it, it makes me feel sad, because I only think they're going after a fraction of what they want. They're not fully going after what they want. And then the feedback is they get really confused because they've tried this thing, but it's not worked out. And it's like, well, you haven't really tried it to the fullest extent of what you want to try it to. So that's why it's confusing and it doesn't feel completely right, because you fully haven't given yourself a chance. And so I think as a whole, we need to get really honest with ourselves in regards to what we want. And obviously the reason why all these people I've spoken to have been holding back is mostly because of fear. And fear in a lot of ways. Fear of just like being practical, fear of taking too much of a big jump, fear of being seen, fear of being heard, fear of not being good enough, fear of being seen, being embarrassed or shamed, the mad thing is, like, none of that really matters. And the moment you start being honest with yourself and going after what you truly want, all of those things that you've been holding on to, hiding behind, will slowly dissolve, because you will prove to yourself that you have nothing to be fearful of, that you don't need to be practical. Things don't need to be a logical 1, 2, 3. That stuff isn't real. You know, there's no reason why you can't go from 0 to 20, for example, or to 50. And I think going from 0 to 100, the nervous system might freak out, but if you think you're capable, why not? And if you want to try it, why not? Because there's always information and lessons in our experiences. So why not give it a try and see what it means to you and how you can tailor that experience so that it's more in alignment with what you want to do and who you are. But you won't know that. You won't know the potential of that if you keep playing small. And I keep thinking about that in terms of my manifestations this year. I'm like, at the end of the year now, I'm like reflecting and being like, wow, well, I've manifested everything, but it's always just kind of been what I've wanted. Like if I wanted money for a flight ticket, or if I needed money for food or accommodation or anything, I've always gotten what I wanted, but nothing more. So what has that shown me? That's shown me that I need to think bigger. Stop thinking about getting your needs met for the next day, or for the next week, or for the next month. Think about getting your needs met for the whole year, where you can really feel safe and you're not always, I always feel this year, I felt like I've just been running on a treadmill, just trying to make sure I'm not falling off. And it's like, well, if you ask for this, you get this. So think bigger, expand, expand, expand. And yeah, and I think this is definitely a reflection of how much I've grown this year, but at the end of the year, I'm talking to more people and I'm just thinking like, why are they playing so small? They want to host an event, but they only want to invite 2 people. Why? Or they want to do more creative stuff on the side, but they just want to make little things to like, little things, but like not completely fully what they want to make. And I think all of this playing small is just confusing us, because we play small and we wonder why we're not fulfilled, or why we're not enjoying the life that we live. And it's like, well, because it's not truly what you want. If you truly want what you want, identify what it is, break it down into little parts if you want to, but eventually that will build up to the bigger thing. Don't play small, because if you play small, you get small, and then you get really fucking frustrated. So give yourself a chance. Figure out how to think bigger, because it really also is a mindset. We just kind of get caught up so much in thinking practically, logically, thinking small, thinking that I can only do this, and that's no one's fault. It really is a reflection of our environment and what we see people doing around us and what they're also doing with their lives and society, and etc., etc. But the moment you start talking to people who are doing something different, or watching or reading something about people who are doing the type of things that you want to do, that's when it sparks inspiration. That's when it sparks new ideas in the mind to expand. And then those ideas lead to new approaches of how you can get to where you want to be. But don't keep your world small. If you don't want it to be like that, you don't have to. So the second thing is yes. So the second thing is recognizing that you are responsible for how you feel. No one else is responsible for how you feel. And I realized this a lot recently. Again, talking to a lot of people, that people have been choosing to feel bad. That they continue to feed negative thoughts and negative emotions and victim mentality. They continue to feed it every single second of the day. And they don't want to take responsibility or accountability for it. And they don't want to change it. They don't want to try and change it. They just want to sit in it. And this one is hard, and I know it's very hard, but I've worked so much on understanding my mind, reprogramming my subconscious, and having power over my focus, believing in more, hoping more. And so in that, I've bit by bit over time chosen to feed positive thoughts and positive emotions because I know how far it takes me. And so we need to be more aware of the fact that we are actually choosing to feel bad. We are choosing to struggle. We are choosing to stay in a lower state. We're choosing to have anxiety, to have depression, to be sad. Of course, your circumstances can be challenging. You can have issues with money, with family, grief, death, all of those things. Those are perfectly valid aspects of life. But your circumstances, like, you have to realize that you can differentiate how you're thinking and how you're feeling from your circumstances. What is very powerful is when you learn how to feel good and to think good and to be hopeful and optimistic without relying on your circumstances to make you feel like that. Don't wait on the money to make you feel good. Don't wait on the relationship to start thinking better of yourself. Don't wait on the dream job or to be able to travel the world to start feeling free. Because you can get all those things, and if you haven't trained the way that you think and your thoughts and your feelings, you will still feel the same way by getting what you want. You still will. And so you've got to make it your job to take control of how you feel. And yeah, if you need to feel bad for a few minutes or a few days or a few weeks, then do that. Flush that out of your system. But eventually you have to let go and you have to choose better for yourself. And that is where your power is. It's not outside of you. It's not outside of you. You don't have to wait for someone. You don't have to wait for something to make you feel better. You have to choose it for yourself. And it takes practice. And it takes continuously redirecting your thoughts and redirecting your feelings. Continuously learning how to forgive yourself and move on. Recognizing that the space that you're being in, this stuckness, this feeling low and depressed and anxious and kind of anger and frustration with everything, that is something that you can choose to change every single day, every single second of the day. And that's why things like mindfulness and meditation is so powerful, because it helps you to train the mind, helps you to train your focus. And whatever you project your focus on is whatever you give power to. And whatever you give power to solidifies more and more and more within your life. So it's a choice. Recognize that it is a choice. Recognize that any second of the day, you can change that. You can change those thoughts, those beliefs. And the need to feed those emotions, the need to feed that identity, that version of yourself that feels bad and feels helpless and feels like they're not capable and feels like they're a victim. And the person that chooses to feed that reality of life is not supporting me, life is bad, everything's bad, people are bad, circumstances are bad, 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 bad. Your greatest power is being consciously aware that any second of the day you can change something. And that change, it always comes from a shift in perspective. At any moment you can change the way you see something. At any moment you can allow yourself to feel good. It's a choice. And recently it's literally taken me 2.5 years to feel good about something, to allow myself to believe that it can turn out for the better. And it's hard. It's hard because we still want to feel like a victim. You know, and I've been in that mentality for 2.5 years of like, fuck, this is something I regret. Why did I do it? This person is to blame. I wish I could turn back time, blah, 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 blah. But I really had to realize that that was just going to be my story for the rest of my life if I was not willing to see it differently. Because I can't turn back time. I can't, you know, change my actions. I can't change another person's actions. So what can I do? The only thing I can do right now is choose to change the way that I see this thing. Okay, moving on to the next thing. The third thing is that we are so powerful we don't even know it. And so powerful we don't even know it. And I've only come to know this because I play with life. I play with things like meditation and mindfulness and reprogramming my subconscious and limiting beliefs, inner child work, shadow work, hypnotherapy. I played with all of these things, and through these tools and techniques and modalities and the knowledge that I've read and listened to, I've implemented them, I've practiced them, I've tested them, they're a part of my daily life, and I've come to realize, wow, I'm so powerful. And if everyone knew how powerful they were or are, life would be so different. Life as we know it would be so different. We wouldn't be wallowing in self-pity and struggling so much with our health and our mental health and our physical health, and we wouldn't be doing shit that we don't like having jobs that we don't like and earning not enough money and all these things that make life difficult. We would see that that doesn't have to be so. And the things that we see in life that are challenging, we would be able to learn more from them and to have more peace in what these experiences are in this lifetime. and what we can observe from them, what we can learn from them, what they show us as a whole. And so, yeah, we are so powerful. It's honestly, it's crazy. And I think if people explore that more, and I think exploring how powerful you are as a person also comes with taking risks and trying, going after what you want, not playing small, not tolerating shit, believing in yourself 100%. 100%. Even if it's like bit by bit by bit over time, please continue to believe in yourself. Don't give up on yourself. Don't settle. I think it's really, really important to know what you're capable of in this lifetime. And the last thing is, this year I've been tested so hard in the area of relationships, and all relationships, with my dad, with my mom, with my grandma, with my friends, best friends, acquaintances, people that I've met on my travels, with guys, just everyone, to the point where I'm like, I'm fucking tired of all of these lessons. I just want to rest. I'm tired of the gaslighters, the manipulators, the liars, just everyone, just one after the other. And I'm like, oh my God, like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And for me, it really made me stand in my worth. It really made me stand up for myself. It really made me not settle for scraps of love. And that's also another thing I hear from a lot of conversations I have with friends or just people in general, is they settle for little glimmers of love rather than fully knowing the love that they're worthy and deserving of, and that is capable of coming into their life. Because love is all, like, for all of us, love is out there. Like, the greatest of love is out there for us. But if you don't believe in it, and if you just settle for what you have, then that's what you will get. It's the same as if you think small, you get small. If you think big, you get big. If you only think that you can have this little fraction of love, and that's why you keep attaching yourself to or running after people who are not showing you respect, kindness, care, understanding, acceptance, love, and that we obsess over these people, and I've done it a fair amount, then you don't know how much love can actually come into your life, how much love you're actually worthy of if you keep settling for less. And it's really weird hearing friends like talk about someone or talk about a relationship that isn't giving them what they want, but they're trying to convince themselves of it. Or that person isn't showing up for them in the way that they want, but they're trying to like, oh, but they do this other thing and they do this other, they're trying to like worm their way around it and to make it work for them. And it's like, this person's just not showing up for you. That's okay. It's just not meant to be for you too, or maybe it was meant to be for a few months or a few weeks or a few years, but it's time to move on. It's time to grow. It's time to experience more love, to be with someone who is able to give you more love That's so possible. And again and again and again, when I do stand up for what I want, when I stand in my worth, when I don't settle, when I say no to people who keep trying to treat me like shit. And yeah, I have my challenges, you know, but the more I do that, the more I'm like, wow, the next person turns out to be even more amazing than the person before. What the fuck? And I've done it so many times where I'm like, I'm not worried. Not worried about losing friends, not worried about losing a romantic partner, because I know the love that's to come will always be better than the love that I've experienced. And every version of love with a person, that interaction is unique. But the next love that I'm experiencing is even more suitable for me. And that also is a risk you have to take. Stop playing small. Stop settling. If something doesn't feel right, Listen to yourself. Act on it. Create space, set boundaries, and give yourself the chance of experiencing something much greater.